Section 210.11 C3 exception permits lighting on a dedicated bathroom receptacle circuit if the circuit supplies only that individual bathroom. Section 210.23 allows lighting loads on general-purpose branch circuits, including bathroom circuits. However, there is an exception to 210.23, stating that lighting loads in bathrooms are not permitted to be supplied from a circuit that is also used for receptacle outlets. The inspector is interpreting the exception to 210.23 to mean that bathroom lighting cannot be supplied from a dedicated bathroom receptacle circuit, even if the circuit only supplies that individual bathroom. The inspector is arguing that a dedicated bathroom receptacle circuit is still considered a circuit that is also used for receptacle outlets, even if it only supplies outlets in that bathroom. The exception to 210.23 states that lighting loads in bathrooms are not permitted to be supplied from a circuit that is also used for receptacle outlets. The interpretation of the code is that the exception to 210.23 only applies to lighting loads that are not supplied from a dedicated bathroom receptacle circuit. It is argued that 210.11 C3 exception permits lighting loads on a dedicated bathroom receptacle circuit as long as the circuit only supplies that individual bathroom. The code does not explicitly address this issue, leading to differing interpretations. The inspector's interpretation is a reasonable one, but it is not the only possible interpretation. Consider consulting with an electrical engineer or other qualified expert to get their opinion on the matter. If changes to the wiring in pre-wired homes are required, it could be a significant expense. Firstly, consider appealing the inspector's decision to the local code authority or electrical board. Secondly, find an alternative interpretation of the code that supports the wiring method. Thirdly, negotiate with the inspector to find an acceptable compromise, such as using ground fault circuit interrupter GFCI protection for the bathroom lighting. The code does not provide a clear answer to this question. The inspector's interpretation is reasonable, but it is not the only possible interpretation. Consider consulting with an electrical expert to get their opinion on the matter. Navigating the National Electrical Code, or NEC, can sometimes feel like traversing a maze, especially when interpretations clash. The specific issue at hand, concerning bathroom receptacle circuits and lighting, highlights the importance of understanding the nuances within the code and how different authorities may interpret them. The core of the debate revolves around two key sections of the NEC, Section 210.11 C3 and Section 210.23 and their respective exceptions. It is also crucial to remember that local amendments to the NEC might further influence the applicable regulations. So it is very important to consult your local authority having jurisdiction, or OJ, when clarifying any confusion over the local electrical codes in your area. Let's break down each section and its implications. Section 210.11 C3 focuses on bathroom branch circuits. The basic rule mandates at least 120 amps branch circuit to supply bathroom receptacle outlets. The exception to this rule, however, is what sparks the initial question. It permits lighting on a dedicated bathroom receptacle circuit if that circuit exclusively serves that individual bathroom. This seemingly allows for a combined circuit powering both receptacles and lights within a single bathroom. Now let's examine Section 210.23. A, which deals with permissible loads on branch circuits in general. This section broadly allows lighting loads on general-purpose branch circuits, which, at face value, could include bathroom circuits. However, and this is a crucial point, there is an exception to Section 210.23, as that throws a wrench into the works. This exception states that lighting loads in bathrooms are not permitted to be supplied from a circuit that also serves receptacle outlets. This is where the conflict arises. The inspector is interpreting this exception strictly, arguing that even a dedicated bathroom receptacle circuit cannot supply lighting. Their reasoning is that the circuit, by its very nature, is still a circuit also used for receptacle outlets, regardless of whether it only serves a single bathroom. This interpretation is based on the literal reading of the exception to Section 210.23. A. Emphasizing the prohibition of combining lighting and receptacle loads on the same circuit in bathrooms. The opposite interpretation hinges on the allowance granted by the exception in section 210.11 C3. This viewpoint argues that the dedicated nature of the bathroom receptacle circuit, as long as it serves only that bathroom, overrides the general prohibition in section 210.23. The rationale here is that the NEC specifically carves out an exception for dedicated bathroom circuits, permitting the inclusion of lighting loads. So, which interpretation is correct? Unfortunately, the NEC itself doesn't offer a definitive answer. The language is open to an interpretation, leading to the disagreement. In such situations, it's crucial to remember that the authority having jurisdiction, or OJ, has the final say. The OJ, typically a local electrical inspector, is responsible for enforcing the code and ensuring electrical safety. Their interpretation, even if debatable, must be followed. However, that doesn't mean there aren't avenues to explore. Firstly, documentation is key. Thoroughly review the applicable NEC versions and any local amendments. Check for any official interpretations or rulings issued by the NEC or local authorities that might shed light on the issue. Secondly, seek expert consultation. Engage with a qualified electrical engineer or a seasoned master electrician familiar with NEC and local codes. Their expertise can provide a valuable second opinion and potentially offer alternative interpretations or solutions. Thirdly, communicate with the inspector. Schedule a meeting to discuss the issue calmly and professionally. Present your interpretation, supporting it with code references and expert opinions. Be open to understanding the inspector's perspective and finding common ground. If direct communication doesn't yield a resolution, consider appealing the inspector's decision. Most jurisdictions have a process for appealing code interpretations to higher authority, such as an electrical board or a code appeals board. Prepare a well-documented case outlining your interpretation, supporting evidence, and the potential impact of the inspector's ruling. Now let's consider some practical solutions assuming the inspector's interpretation prevails. Retrofitting existing wiring can be disruptive and costly, especially in completed homes. However, there are options to minimize the impact. The most straightforward solution is to separate the lighting and receptacle circuits. This involves running a dedicated circuit for the bathroom lighting, ensuring compliance with the inspector's interpretation. However, this might require opening walls and ceilings, depending on the existing wiring configuration. Another option, if feasible, is to utilize existing general-purpose circuits to power the bathroom lighting. However, ensure that these circuits have sufficient capacity to handle the additional load and comply with all other NEC requirements. Ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, protection is crucial in bathrooms due to the presence of water. Ensure that all receptacle outlets and lighting fixtures within the bathroom are GFCI protected, regardless of the circuit configuration. This adds an extra layer of safety and may be a point of negotiation with the inspector. Remember, electrical work is inherently dangerous and should only be performed by qualified individuals. Always prioritize safety and adhere to all applicable codes and regulations. The situation described underscores the complexities of code interpretation and the importance of clear communication and collaboration. While the NEC provides a framework for electrical safety, its application often requires careful consideration and a willingness to find mutually acceptable solutions. Before starting any electrical work, especially in situations involving code interpretations, consult with the authority having jurisdiction, or OJ, and obtain the necessary permits. Document all work performed, including circuit modifications, GFCI installations, and any other relevant information. This provides a record of compliance and can be helpful in future inspections or modifications. Regularly review the NEC and any local amendments to stay informed of changes and updates. This helps ensure that all electrical work is performed in accordance with the latest requirements. The specific sections of the NEC discuss Section 210.11. C3 and Section 210.23 are subject to change with each new edition of the code. Stay updated on these changes and their potential impact on your electrical work. Consider attending continuing education courses or workshops on electrical codes and standards. This helps enhance your knowledge and skills and ensures that you are up to date on the latest best practices. Join professional organizations such as the International Association of Electrical Inspectors, or IE, to network with other electrical professionals and stay informed of industry trends and developments. When in doubt, always err on the side of caution. If you are unsure about a particular code requirement or its interpretation, seek clarification from a qualified electrical engineer or the authority having jurisdiction, or ORG. Electrical safety is paramount, and it's always better to be safe than sorry. In conclusion, navigating the complexities of electrical codes requires a combination of technical knowledge, practical experience, and effective communication. By understanding the code requirements, seeking expert guidance, and working collaboratively with inspectors, you can ensure that your electrical work is safe, compliant, and meets the needs of your clients.